Greetings, fellow slingers. Welcome back to Roll the Hard 20 podcast. It is I, your trusted GM, Brian, welcoming you to another episode, not of the Dragon's Demand, but of our After Action Report. I have with me Chris and we sitting down, obviously I'm part of it too, sitting down, and we're going over episode 51, Battle on Three Fronts, and basically what it all entailed. I've said this to the other guys. I think this is one of my favorite episodes of our entire Dragon's Demand run through. You know, we had a lot of loose threads of characters' backstories and everything going on in the background, and I know we all kind of wanted to stitch these things up, and I had a lot of things kind of going on in the background, maneuvering everybody so we could do that, so we could actually start getting on with the story aspect without feeling railroady, and this is what we ended up doing. I know I said it a couple times that I honestly think that this is probably one of my favorite episodes of our Dragon's Demand run through. Just everything that was going on in this one episode, and I had a really good time. And I hope that you guys did too, listening to it. Don't forget, if you want to watch it, we're on YouTube at Roll the Hard 20. Check us out. I think that's about it. Let's just warm up our dice and top off our glass as Roll the Hard 20 presents another episode of our After Action Report. By the way, I'm getting ready to gear up and sit down with Ratke in a short while here. We're going to have another one of these things, so it'll be like part 1 and part 2. Don't miss that one either. I love sitting down with these guys one-on-one behind the scenes, behind the camera. So anyways, enjoy. Take care, everybody. To me unless you want me to find a fix for it. So
it's so true. It's like I have to when I talk to my daughter, I'm like, are you just telling me and you want some guidance, or do you want me to fix it for you?
Yeah, I mean,
because I'll fix it.
That's me. It's like I gotta do something. I can't not do something if something's sideways. So how you doing tonight, my friend?
I'm doing well. I'm excited. I'm excited for this.
Yeah, well, let's lead it in, and we'll give a reason why we're doing it, and we'll go from there. Greetings, fellow slingers. Welcome back to Roll the Hard 20 podcast. It is I, your trusted GM, Brian, and with me, my hard slinger,
the Stabby.
Our after action report for episode 51. So we got a lot of things to talk about. As always with these AARs, they're going to be heavy spoilers, so make sure you listen to the previous episodes. You probably already are if you're listening to them now, and which reminds me, I want to give a shout out to Gary Kilgore. I hope you're doing well. I know he had some spinal surgery, getting that adamantium put around his vertebrae, getting prepped for battle. Roll your initiative, Gary. Hope you're doing well, brother.
Roll the 20. Hard 20.
Yeah, episode 51. Battle on Three Fronts, and what a shocker of an ending. Obviously heavy spoilers. Want to hold up one of my initiative sticks here. Stubby. So we had 3 battles going on all at the same time once this episode kicked off. We had Dempsey versus Drosk. We had Valadir versus the War Ape and 3 other orcs, with Warren lending support from a distance. And the one I want to talk about tonight is the one against Stabby versus Heinrich. Now, so this all started when you guys had told the Baroness that she should pay for Flint's tab at the Sunset House, and she was adamant that bill shouldn't fall upon her, that you guys were adventurers, and that's part of the job. Basically, if you were paid to go in and do the job of inventory Hunclay's Manor, and whatever you were actually supposed to go through and clear the place of traps and anything that would cause danger to the inventory clerks that would go in there, and obviously take a brief inventory of the stuff that was in there. And when Flint perished, you thought that it was her duty to pay for that, in which she said no, and then you did something kind of crazy. What'd you do? Explain to the listeners why you did what you did.
So a little backstory on Stabby is he was a slave in a large city in Galarian. And the only way he got out was there was another halfling who happened to be a noble that pulled him out of slavery. But before that other halfling, Stabby has a great deal of disdain for anybody that is noble, seems like they're above you. And he just, bottom line, did not like the Baroness. He didn't like the way that she talked to him, talked to the group. So he had it by that point. And we had a couple interactions with her, and he had it with her. So he stuck his rapier to her neck to intimidate her into paying for Flint's burial.
Yeah, and almost immediately, the mood in the parlor changed. And Heinrich had said, ma'am, would you like me to take care of this for you? And she said no. And she agreed that she would pay the bill at the Sunset House, and you guys went about your merry way. And then after that, you guys came up with a pretty good plan about when Dempsey was going to go deal with Drosk, and a lot of things. I think it was still kind of hanging in the back of Stubby's mind, or even your mind, as you played him, about what might happen further down the line, further down the road.
Yeah, I think, I had all intention of doing something where I was going to strike first against the Baroness. But when Drosk came into the picture and the urgency and immediacy of us having to address that conflict, I'll call it, with Dempsey, I focused all my attention to that issue at hand. So I didn't get an opportunity to, really calculate what I was going to do. But there were a lot of miscalculations on my part with Stabby.
Well, what was funny was as things were starting to lead up to Drosk becoming more prominent and going through Belhaim and looking aggressively for Dempsey and whoever he might be running with, there was a time when you guys went back to the rooms and you had ordered like a fruit tray or whatever it was from downstairs at the Wise Piper Inn. And I had already known there was going to be a note on there, and I wasn't sure who I was gonna let it be, either to Stubby or to Dempsey, and that's who it was going to be addressed, one of you two guys. But while you guys began talking, I realized that his direness fed into everybody. Like, everybody was consumed with this. So I was like, okay, I'm going to let it go towards Dempsey because I already know where Heinrich is going right now. I already know what's going on with it. So I figured that it would be a good misdirection in the sense where everybody's focus would then be solely on Drosk and his boys, enough to where maybe Heinrich or the Baroness wasn't even forefront. But I want to go into the details of your guys' plan the next morning when you guys got up and you decided that you were actually going to go out and meet Drosk at, I think, noon or something like that, over in the field that's in front of Hunclay's Manor and also in front of a large copse of trees. Tell me your plan a little, because I as you guys were formulating it, there was a reason why he was able to get where you were at.
Yeah, the plan, was for Stabby to gain advantage, so to speak, and have cover and get the jump on Drosk.
I think you're giving some feedback to your mic. You
Nope.
don't hear that?
Nope.
Oh. I hear that every time you turn. It's weird.
Sounds good. But
okay, whatever.
The whole plan for Stabby was get him hidden so that he was a surprise to Drosk and his minions at that point. Give us the upper hand in the battle, because it was clear to me that Drosk, he was serious. Okay. And the way you had played it up is that this was not going to be an easy fight for the group, that we needed every advantage we could possibly get. And that was to put Stabby cover of the trees with Warren's help with an invisibility spell. And at that point, like I said earlier, the urgency of us addressing Drosk was so great that I didn't even think about the Baroness or Heinrich. You played classic misdirection with the Drosk character to take Stabby and Heinrich and the Baroness off the map at that point for me.
And I had thought, because I had already had it planned that Heinrich was going to be invisible and following you guys in town. I think there was even a point where Warren had done a perception check to see if anybody was following you guys around town, and it failed.
Yeah, he
failed. He wouldn't have seen him anyways because he was invisible. But that's what Heinrich was doing, was he was maneuvering around and he was checking, following you guys to see when he could get you separated from the rest of the group. That was his whole thing. If you guys had decided you weren't going to go there and you guys were going to bugger out, or even if you decided to stand alone, or you were going to go into the amphitheater where the auction is going to be had, he would have confronted you the moment you were alone. It was going to happen. But when you guys went to the field and Warren had cast invisibility and he was able to perceive where you had gone into the woods, as you did your thing, that's what made him follow you into the woods. And I think I had mentioned this because we were kind of talking about this before we had recorded a couple of days ago, that I had actually built this character, and he is a total playable character. He's a 4th level sorcerer and a 2nd level rogue. So that was why he was very adamant, like what he was going to do. And the thing about invisibility is the moment you attack, invisibility is dropped. So when you had, I couldn't believe the luck, because I thought you were going to go around Hunclay's Manor and aim that way. And I was like, well, this isn't going to work. I don't know what I'm going to do at this point. When you said you were going to go into the trees, I was like, you have to watch the playback, but I didn't even know if I had a poker face at that point. I'm like, you're going to go there? Right there? Right next to that R?
Oh, yeah.
Where it says road? I was like, and I asked you twice, remember? I was like, that's where you're going to be, right? And you said, yeah. I said, okay.
I was so specific about where I was going to be that I said, I will be between these 2 letters on the road, on the tree, on the map. Yeah. It was like pinpoint accuracy.
And that was where I was hoping you would be, in the trees, because it plays in well enough to where the Baroness's manor is at, where it's on that side of the copse of trees, and where all this would go down without anybody else really seeing it. I kind of envisioned like a Japanese showdown of 2 samurai in these wooded area going down. And we all rolled initiative, or actually you did, or no. Dempsey rolled initiative, Drosk rolled initiative, and then you wanted to roll initiative too in episode 50 at the end. I left it on the back end of the episode. And I said, okay, when we pick up, this is what we'll do. So we picked up the episode. Drosk held his action and let Dempsey attack. Then he attacked, and I said, what do you want to do, Stubby? And you attacked, and when your invisibility dropped, Heinrich immediately attacked you from behind, dropping his invisibility as well. And that was when you guys really got into the thick of it, and it, everything else in the world melted away. It was just
totally. Yeah, it was very much like tunnel vision at that point. And I knew as I started rolling and making attacks, I wanted to bind him up, with that wand of web, just so I could get away and get some additional cover. And man, I'm like, I got 2 charges left on this wand. And man, I failed that first one, and I go, this isn't going so hot.
But you tried it again, and I think he was just rolling dynamite that night too.
Oh yeah.
Unfortunately for Drosk, which we'll have an after action report with Dempsey and Drosk as well to go over that, but that's at another time. But Heinrich seemed to be doing really well.
Yeah, the rolls were pretty fantastic for him. I replayed that episode and that battle in my mind a lot after the episode, and I could have done things differently. I miscalculated a few things that I probably should have engaged him hand to hand,
You
grappled him.
probably would have done a really good job because he didn't have a very high AC. You know, his AC was pretty low. He only had a 15 was his armor class. He had a dex bonus of +1. When he was dodging out of the way, I'd have to listen to the recap, but I think he was rolling, both those times he rolled a 15 on the die, and he was able to, which made it a 16, and it got him out of the way both those times. But other than that, I mean, there were times when he was really trying to do some damage to you, and he got you once, and then a couple other times he kept missing. But
I think, my plan was to get to the cover of the manor or the tower that was crumbled.
Yeah, because you broke from the conflict.
Yep.
And you started running across the field.
Yeah,
and then
I wanted to go ahead.
Oh, go ahead. Tell me what you wanted to do.
I wanted to get the cover of that because I knew once.
So far. That was so fucking far.
The problem for me was even though you had mentioned the distances, it like didn't trigger with me that it was 100 plus feet. It was going to take me several actions to get there, move actions, and I missed it. It was in your favor, obviously, but I knew that once I could get there, I could just pick him off from a distance with my crossbow.
And that's what he was doing as you were leaving, because like one of the first attacks he used chromatic orb. And I think he did really low damage on that. And then I think it was only like 6 points. I think I rolled a 1, a 2, and a 4 or something stupid.
Yep.
But then when you were running, he used Quicken Spell as a bonus action. So he was able to cast it twice. And that used up all of his second level spells. And all 6 of or both of those chromatic orbs hit for 6d8. And I think that's what took you down. And then he was like, because I think I'd mentioned a couple episodes before that once you guys go down, they're going to keep going, because at this point it shouldn't be expected on either side unless it's beneficial that any quarter will be given. I mean, at this level, people are just taking people out. The stakes are so high that death is usually the outcome of an encounter. I mean, look at Dempsey and Drosk, which I'll get into that with him too. But I mean, at one of those points, had you had the drop on Heinrich, you would have taken him out.
Yeah, I think to your point about you attack till they're driven into the ground. Heinrich didn't know if I was just feigning,
and he didn't. So, and that's
I had no idea.
He I don't remember if he knew if Warren was coming in or not, but he was starting to move to the east as he was firing. He was trying to make his way out, and I think he kept using Firebolt because it had 120 feet, and he kept missing. Go another 30 feet, fire again, and then go another 30 feet, and then he finally hits you with the third one, and I think that's what sealed it at that point. But
seared it.
Seared it, yeah. But he was trying to get out, and I think that if he had missed on that last one, he probably would have ran away. He wasn't going to go out there and kill you in front of everybody. He wasn't going to stand over you. And I think that he may have made a perception check. I don't remember if he had heard Warren coming in or not, but he knew that it was only a matter of time before he was going to be discovered. And so far, nobody knew who had done it, and nobody still knows.
No, he had to play it that way. I mean, look, the group knows, I'm sure, logically. Look, the Baroness had a hand in this, but the intrigue of it, not knowing who did it, it's like a hanging chat out there. You just don't know who killed me.
Yeah, and I mean, it's possible maybe Drosk had another guy in the woods. Who knows? I mean, I think somebody had mentioned at one point that it's a possibility that Drosk and the Baroness, that she may bring him into the fold to hire him to take care of some things, and we never really played that up or went either way, so that still kind of hangs up in the air whether or not there was any truth to that. But I think that once Warren got to a certain point and he made the perception check, he just saw that there was an empty bottle, little flask on the ground, and when he sniffed it, he could, through his Arcana check, he was able to know that this is an invisibility potion. and that whoever he was looking for was gone at that point. I think he smoked like a little doe or something like that, killed a little bunny or whatever. But you know, the whole thing is that I think Heinrich had said to you, apologize to the Baroness, and Stubby had held true to his belief, even to his own demise, and that's admirable. If he was still alive, I would have gave him a gold doubloon.
I mean, the bottom line is look, I played that character, especially with the rapier to the Baroness's throat, totally unexpected. Not only by you, but even the party members.
I was shocked. I think I had put my notes off to the side at that point.
Yeah. If you look at the, I think it was episode 50, if you look at the faces, everybody's faces, everybody's like, holy crap, what just happened? And I was prepared to just keep playing that hand, you know, for that episode.
Yeah, and I'm glad you did that too, because I don't ever think that anybody's out to break the game. Nobody's trying to ruin the episode or trying to ruin the show or whatever by doing something like, well, I'm going to get drunk and go do what. No, you know, I don't see doing that. I see everybody's doing something that is true to their character's backstory and who they are. And that Stubby has this huge disdain for any type of regal individuals or royalty or people in bureaucratic positions like that. He just doesn't tolerate that shit.
No, he doesn't. And it cost him his life. But the key, he achieved what his intent was. He knew that he may die, but his intent was that bitch was going to pay for Flint's burial. Whether it cost him his life or not, she was going to pay for it. And I remember in episode 51, or is it upcoming episode, you had mentioned, spoiler alert, you had mentioned that the Baroness, she's paying for Flint, because you had made comment about it in one of the future episodes.
Yeah. Okay. Trying to figure out if I need to bleep that or not, but we'll let it ride. We'll leave it out there for a little bit. I mean, because it's not really a spoiler at this point, but maybe it is.
No.
We'll just leave it. We won't go into the semantics of that aspect, but just know that everyone's under belief of that you, Stubby, got what you wanted from her.
Yeah,
and
he
in
did.
turn, but everything else is still kind of up in the air with the Baroness and Heinrich, and the other party individuals do not know if who had done that. Now, had Warren been able to see that or get into the woods sooner, perhaps, and nobody else even bothered to do a perception check to see what was going on in the woods. I think the only time that they realized that there might have been anything going on was when you burst out of the woods, and then you just saw all this other magic coming from the woods toward you. I just imagine like this little dude just running, you know, trying to get across this field, just firing past you and shit. But
I think that episode was a really good kind of deconstruction about party dynamics. When you had 3 battles going on.
Yeah.
And the party, in my opinion, now that I think about this, the dynamics and the cohesion of the party like totally broke down. That nobody really had any battlefield situational awareness of where everybody was. Like nobody knew where Warren was, nobody knew where I was. Valadier happened to be in the open and he was with Dempsey. So the two of them, you know, people knew.
But Dempsey was in his bubble with Drosk.
He was.
I mean, he was locked in. He was not going to worry about anybody else going, you know. I think Valadier was healing him a little through his bardic abilities, but outside of that, I mean, and I have to say, honestly, I think this is probably one of my favorite episodes of our Dragon's Demand run through, because it felt like the end of Return of the Jedi, where you had the fighters going into the superstructure of the Death Star. You had Luke and Vader, and then you had all this shit going on the moon of Endor. You know, just these 3 different battles, and you're we're running through the different initiatives. I mean, I had like a stick a mile long of all these names that I'm shuffling around and shit. And I'm just like, and I don't even have Drosk's name up there too. I put him in there already in the desk, but yeah, it was fun though. I had a really good time, ushering in all these different things and watching each one of you guys focus in on what was right in front of you, but at the expense of what was going on beside you.
Exactly.
That's your battlefield awareness that you were talking about, is everybody was so focused in on. And I wonder how different it would have been, like if you had faded back and partnered up next to Valadier, if that could have helped out, or if Warren had got into the trees sooner, or if Dempsey had circled around or something, or if somebody else had made a perception check to see what was going on in the trees. I wonder how that would have changed things.
Yeah, but I even look at it from this perspective. So, Stabby came out of the gate swinging with Drosk's entourage. I mean, he hit that ape big time.
Yeah.
Big damage.
He did a shit ton of damage. I'll tell you how much right now. Let's have a peek here.
The rolls were good. I think that was the hard 20 out of the night.
Where's my glasses at? 21 points of damage was your first, right out of the gate.
Yeah, it was huge. But back to the situational awareness of that is everybody's. Warren absolutely had to know that it came from the tree line where I was, because he was at a vantage point that he could oversee Drosk's, area. But if I was Warren, I'd be like, why isn't he shooting anymore? He had that one shot, and there's nothing else coming from the tree line. Nothing. So where is Stabby? Why is he not attacking? And I would think, if as another character with awareness, you're going, seems like we're down a guy.
That's maybe an interesting point, by the way, that you bring that up.
Yeah.
Because when I'm running all these guys, I'm not really thinking about asking somebody, hey, it's not my job as a GM either to help sow those seeds in other people about, hey, what do you think about, Stabby not firing back into the melee anymore? They all have their own individual agency, and I like to incorporate that, which is why I say, tell me what you're going to do. I don't want to thread you through Hunclay's Manor or through the old collapsed tower or what you're doing in Belhaim. Tell me where you're going. Tell me what you want to do.
Yeah, I guess go ahead.
No, I was going to say, I just want to see where you guys come up with, because that's an interesting point, because I don't think I even thought about that until you just now said that as another player, I would have wondered. Yeah. And I commend you for not saying that either. Hey, I wanted to ask you a question while I got you on it. Do you have any gold? Did Stabby have any gold doubloons?
Not one. He didn't have any.
But the other people did, though, right?
Dempsey had one.
That can be given to somebody in play.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It probably would have been useful. It could have turned the tide. But I also think turning the tide of the battle too is I know I keep harping on this situational awareness thing, but I think it's important, even as we role play these games, whether it's D&D or Pathfinder or Starfinder, whatever it is, that these are team efforts.
They are.
And that you've got to be aware of the other things that are occurring around you. Now, maybe this is just one of those things that was a perfect storm, that we were so, the three separate battles. But I would say anybody that is role-playing in these games, it's not just your character sheet. It's and your interaction with a door or a monster or anybody around you is, you have to be aware of everything going on around you, and you have to draw conclusions sometimes.
Yeah, I think when you think about the team and everybody doing everything as a cohesive unit, I look back at the battle with the Sheer Fiend, and it almost seemed as though not everybody was pulling in the same direction. There was a lot of give and take, but it was very singular focused. That was where where Flint died. But then if you look at the other battle with the what was that thing? I gotta find his name. It was the little
Lodo?
buzzer. Yeah, no, that was not Lodo. I think his name was Zabub. Was his name, and he had summoned in once you guys broke that containment circle, and he had summoned in those little, those wretch people. You guys owned that fucking battle. I mean, you guys worked the shit out of him. You kept him cornered. You kept firing him, and it was a smaller arena, definitely, but there were a lot of people in there too. There was five. Was there five? I think 5 adversaries with you guys also.
Oh yeah,
because he summoned in 4 of them. Yeah, I mean, you guys did an amazing job kicking the shit out of that guy. I can't find the notes on that, but you guys did a really, really good job. And then you come on to episode 51, where this 3-front battle, and it wasn't that you guys weren't owning it. I just think that you were intentionally cut off from one another, because Drosk had said, if any of your boys step in while we're doing this, we're all gonna fist fuck you. And so, Radke, he's, as Dempsey, he's like, no, it's just gonna be you and me, dude. We're gonna do this. And so Valadier went to the 3 orcs, and the war ape, which had already taken damage, but then took no more damage from you, and then you were doing your own thing. And I mean, everybody had a problem in front of them that they were trying to come to a solution to, which I liked.
How much did I do? 50% damage to that ape on my first shot?
Almost. He had a lot of hit points to him.
Oh, I'm sure.
And he was beefed up considerably. And the orcs, they really didn't have too many hit points. They only had 17 each. I think 17, or is that 19? I can't even read my own writing. I think it's 19. But they were getting pretty smoked. And Drosk, he was just a force to be reckoned. I actually generated him as a PC also. And then I found something better, as I already had pre-made in the monster manual, so I went with that guy.
I was floored when you spoke as Heinrich after I fired off that shot. I was like, holy shit. This is either gonna go spectacularly wrong, or it's going to go spectacularly well in my favor. And at the end of the day, it all comes down to the roll of the dice.
The hard 20.
The hard 20.
And you know what's, I had to watch the replay, but I was hoping it would have shocked you, not only just to be attacked from behind, but that it was him. And I was hoping that it would be like, fuck, one of those feelings, and I hope it sank in there. So.
It did, because you played him like a feeble old man.
Yeah.
He's such a ringer.
Yeah. I think I had mentioned when you were holding the knife to her throat and we were doing some stuff, I was already like going through my notes to see how he was going to deal with you, and luckily it got diffused at the time. And also there was a point where I can't remember what the instance was, when Dempsey was going to deal with Drosk, and I actually built Drosk during that episode while we were talking on my tablet. I had to go through and build him real fast. I was like, fuck, I got to get this guy ready, because I have a feeling Dempsey's going to go straight for him, and luckily that got pushed off, and everything kept getting pushed off, kept getting deferred. I thought episode 50 was going to be this monumental battle, and it turned out that was the one where a lot of things kind of got stitched up. You were dealing with Zenmei's House of Blues, or whatever things, Zenmei's tonics.
Yeah, the tonics, and then the temple.
Yeah, when you guys went to Flint's, the Shrine of the Six-Pointed Star, so you could deal with his fellow acolytes and figure out what they wanted to do with his body and stuff. But all in all, I think that this is still one of my favorite episodes. and we'll see how far the rest of the AP plays out. So
Yeah,
I'm really
I,
excited.
I'm. I mean, I guess I'm excited.
You guess?
As best as I can be. I'm not playing Stebby anymore, but you know what? I think the game has played out exactly the way we had hoped it all would, and I think episode 51 for sure is one of my favorites, if not my favorite of this AP. I mean, there's been a couple other episodes, with PC interaction and
Yeah.
NPC interaction that have been great.
And I like that too. I like the interaction and the role playing aspects. I like getting involved with the other people in the town, and a lot of times their backstories are very minimal. It doesn't even say, like, some people, it'll say in their background. I don't have the paper here, but it'll say, that this place is run by so and so who is a lawful neutral female human. That's it.
And that's it. Yeah.
That's it. So as you start going in and you guys start asking questions and we start generating this personality, and I think I mentioned this on one of the intros of one of the APs, or one of the episodes that I just did, that whenever you're doing a published AP, you have every right to help turn that into your own by adding your own flavor, as long as it doesn't detract from the overall narrative of that AP.
Yep.
And so when we start building these individuals, you guys help me figure out what I'm going to do with the personalities and how they will react to how you guys act, and whether they feed into your darkest paranoia, or they help diffuse it and bring you down and become allies or something. It's just one of those things that I really enjoy, because I feel like I'm playing. I mean, obviously I am, but every time I see one of you guys die, just remember how many of my guys die.
Oh yeah.
Think about the pain I feel when the sheer demon died.
Oh yeah. I'll tell you, I had a 30 plus year hiatus from D&D or any of the role-playing games. I will say that having been back year and a half now, on the show, that this AP it's taught me a lot. I've learned a lot, and these are all really, really good experiences to have, because as we progress through this AP and other APs, it just gets better and better. And the hope is that we all get better in our role play, and how we're playing the game for the show. I'm super excited.
And I am starting to see everybody start to get into the first person and start to give some voice to who they are. I hear Radke starts to get more into his Irish boxing type of a voice, and you hear Valadir's with this thick Russian accent. I won't do nothing more than crush you, and you're starting to get into the little dwarf.
Hey, you got it. Like, I mean, we've talked about this. Is like, just give it a shot.
You're amongst family, and I think that the listeners love it. I honestly do. I've heard people say in their comments, like on Apple Podcasts and stuff, that the DM, he does different character voices, and it's kind of cool. It's funny, but it's really cool. And hey, I'm glad you like it, because honestly, I'm not gonna stop.
Oh, it's fun.
I enjoy running this show. I'm playing in front of friends. I don't get nervous when I'm DMing in front of you guys, and I wish we had the ability to play in person again. That would be awesome.
I would really, really dig doing that in person.
I know that when we were wrapping up the Hidden Shrine of Tomoe-con, that was one of those APs that I was running, that it wasn't until we started going through it that I was less pleased, not with the role playing and everything, but with the overall AP. It was just a constant battle. Everything you did was a battle.
Yeah.
But the last episode of that, I really enjoyed, because it was, I cut out like 70% of that thing, because it would have just been a slog fest all the way down. So you actually made it to the end of it, and I just kind of curtailed it. But that whole fucking battle was amazing. So anybody wants to listen to a good battle, listen to the last episode of the Hidden Shrine of Tomoe-con. I think it's episode 10. We only ran it for 10 episodes. before we switched over to this one, which I'm really enjoying this one, and I still can't believe it's going on as long as it is. But
I'm blown away that we are this many episodes in.
Well, we just need to start bringing it home, and I think everybody knows what's important. I think you guys are going to clear up a few things that have to deal with Hunclay's leftovers before you guys deal with the auction, if you're still going to.
Yep.
And then everything else that goes on the backside of that. And like I said, I'm really looking forward to that. So we'll party on with that.
Got to wrap it up at some point. Bigger and better things to move on to.
All right. Well, I guess I'll catch you on episode 52.
Dude, I'm looking forward to it.
Definitely so, brother.
It was great talking about this.
Thank you for joining us once again on Roll the Hard 20 podcast. Remember, you can find us and subscribe to the show on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, iHeart Radio, Amazon Podcasts, and Audible. And if you like what you're listening to, leave us that 5-star rating and review. We've also got a YouTube channel at Roll the Hard 20, so if you're into watching, head on over there and hit that like bell, and don't forget to subscribe. We can also be found in the wild on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, so don't forget to check us out and look for us out there. You can also contact the show directly at rollthehard20podcast@gmail.com, or head on over to the website at rollthehard20podcast.com, where you can also download the current show directly and view our archives and galleries. We got a lot of interesting stuff posted there, so head on over. And finally, join us on our Patreon page at patreon.com/rollthehard20podcast, where you can become a hard slinger and pick up swag. So until next session, keep your dice warm and your glass topped off as you roll those hard 20s.